proper plan that the state governments will make, and some of them have made, and sent to Pollution Control Board. Now, why this air pollution? What are the sources? What are the major reasons behind this air pollution in Andhra Pradesh and in other states as well? So, the National Clean Air Program 2019, which was mentioned here as well, NCAP is the short form of it. NCAP lists these factors as the major sources of air pollution. So, the top three factors that pollute our air are vehicular emissions, which is emissions coming from our vehicles, diesel emissions, and fuel emissions, then industries and construction waste. Now, this is particularly interesting because when we talk about construction, we don't usually count it as one of the most important factors of air pollution. But as you can see here, it's among one of the top three sources. So vehicular emissions, industries, and construction. And after that, there are other factors as well, like burning of solid fuel and garbage burning or waste burning. That's also another major issue that we in our audit also try to address. So schools, we are in touch with schools, we are in touch with teachers like you who are our multipliers. And through you, we try to disseminate this information and all the necessary things that schools can do at their level. Then moving ahead, particulate matter or PM 2.5 and 10, as I shared, they are also a major challenge now, and they're continuously impacting the health of people who live in those areas where the concentration is really high. So, what CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, does is they have come up with AQI, which is Air Quality Index. You can see AQI category. So, this is a table that tells you the quality of air in your area. Now, there are many automatic air quality monitoring stations across India where they automatically test the quality of air and show you the quality. And there are some manual stations as well. So there are more manual stations than there are automatic ones. But the division remains the same, which is on the screen. So the rating is pretty much like our audit. It goes from red to green. So if the air quality is red, it means that a lot of improvement is required and the quality is not up to the mark. It's either severe or very poor. If it's orange, it means it's poor. Yellow means moderate, or light green means satisfactory. And if it's really good, which is the AQI range of 0 to 50, it would be green. So we can quickly do one thing. This is, I have a link opened here. This is a link from CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. And through this, we can check the real-time air quality wherever a monitoring station is available. So if I select the state Andhra Pradesh here, I can see that there are automatic air quality monitoring stations in 4 cities. So
your screen is not visible, Krishna. Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, it's been shared. I'll reshare. Is it visible now?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. So this is the site by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, where you can check the real-time air quality. So in Andhra Pradesh, we can see that there are automatic real-time air quality monitoring stations in 4 cities. So since we have participation from Visakhapatnam here, I'll select that. And from Visakhapatnam, there's only one station. So GVM Corporation, if somebody is aware of the area here, please share what the air quality is like. What do you feel about it? But right now, this shows that air quality is poor. 224 is the AQI, which means poor according to our scale as well. So this is one site which will be there in the presentation as well that you can use to check the air quality. So please put it in the chat window if you're from Visakhapatnam, what your observations have been regarding the air quality, which it's showing as poor right now. So it would benefit all of us. Neeraj, I request you to let me know if there are any responses on chat. So moving ahead, now there are so many issues around us, air pollution, so many pollutants, so many things to take to students and tell them about, right? So that's where the audit, GST audit comes into picture. What we do here essentially is we don't tell students anything. We ask them questions. we encourage them to find data on their own, analyze it, and come up with their conclusions, come up with their learnings and knowledge. So we have detailed questions for that. And for air, we ask questions with respect to the ventilation of the school, because air pollution is also directly linked with the kind of ventilation we have in classes. If there is not enough cross ventilation in a school, there may be indoor air pollution inside, right? Because there's humidity, which further causes bacterial formation. Then we ask about vehicles of the school. So from AP, since we have a lot of government schools participating with us, most of them do not own vehicles. So that, I think, as Ranjit also mentioned, is a great part about AP, and that's why I think your state has been winning year on year. That your mobility scenario is actually quite sustainable to a great extent. So if a school has vehicles, we ask them which fuels are used in those vehicles, how many vehicles are there, whether they have PUC, pollution under control certification, and what is the age of those vehicles, because that also matters. If a vehicle is beyond 8 years of age, then the chances of pollution are high. And then we ask the school population about their commute, how they travel to school every day, whether they use non-polluting means to transport, to travel, or they use sustainable modes, or they use private vehicles. So these are all the things that we ask for, and we encourage students to find out this data on their own with the help of a teacher who's the GSP coordinator mostly. And this is how we try to judge the air quality of the school. I will quickly go to the audit and show you how it looks like. So when it opens next year, you are familiar with it. The audit is not open right now. Please do not get confused. The audit is closed. This is just my demo account that I'm showing. So you will not be able to log in closed. So like every year, we have two sections.
Hello.
The details. What is the category of your school? If it's a day scholar or residential or day boarding, what kind of shift you have, how many shifts, and the school level, primary, elementary, secondary, so basic information. Then we move to the next section where we ask for the total population, the board that school follows. Population is actually very important because this is how we judge the consumption of a school in relation with how many students and staff and teachers are there in that school. So, and then we ask about visitors that come to school, in which months the audit is done, and which type of school is that. Then we come to the first section, which is air. So the first thing that a school needs to do after signing up for the audit is make a team. The team can have maximum of 3 teachers, and this is only for air section. They can have administrative staff members and a maximum of 10 students per section. So 10 students per air you can have. Then the tasks begin. The idea is to encourage students to work in groups and find out answers to questions like how many classrooms are there in school and what is the area of each classroom. Because if we know the area of each classroom, we automatically calculate the window floor ratio. So for example, I say that in my class 10, okay, here I say there are 2 rooms in my school. So 2 rows open up. Now I say in 10B, area of floor is, let's say, 200. Area of openable windows is 70. It will calculate percentage of the floor area on its own. Our audit will calculate, so you don't have to do that. Students will just have to measure the area and enter the values. Rest all is done automatically. Now moving ahead, the next task is about vehicles. Students can speak with drivers. They can refer to the logs that schools maintain as to how much fuel is being used in which month, and they have to find out whether their school owns vehicles or those are rented or there are no vehicles. Then you can upload PUC certificate, pollution under control certificate, as proof, and commute practices of the school. So we are separately for students, teaching staff, and non-teaching staff, which modes of transport they use. So with the help of a teacher, students find this data out, how many students and teachers and staff come on bicycle, on foot, and other non-polluting modes. Then the next question and the next task is about the air quality in the school. So we asked you for the data of how many students suffer from respiratory problems, whether or not there's a laboratory in school that monitors air quality. And it's fine if there is no laboratory in the school, because then students come up with creative solutions. So I'll share in my further slides that there's one school in our network. The students of that school made an air filter using an old car filter. So they used that discarded car filter and transformed it into an air filter that was kept in school. So this is how students come up with creative solutions that do not require money and infrastructure. I think it just requires awareness that comes from teachers like yourself. So this is essentially the air section. With every task, we ask schools to attach documents so that their data is, even backed by this proof that we have. And that helps us analyze, because after you submit the audit, we analyze data for all the schools. So going back to the presentation, Neeraj, how much time do I have? Because I think I may have
5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, so then I'll make it quick. Then after you submit the audit and we analyze, we give you a performance report. And in the air section of the performance report, we cover these aspects. We give you comments on the window to floor ratio of the school, vehicle ownership, which you mentioned in the audit, and we analyze as to how much fuel your school is using. So if you can see in this example here, we have told this particular school that the percentage of non-polluting modes of transport is 82%, which is high, and that means the practices are sustainable. The school is not creating pollution when it comes to commute. Then we discuss vehicle health, fuels that a school uses, and the commuting practices of a school. In GSP audit 2019, 1,704 schools submitted the audit in the first phase. And we found out that 79% schools do not own or use vehicles, which is a green practice, because this means they're using sustainable modes of transport. They're either using public vehicles or non-motorized. And in case they're using private vehicles, then that also is mentioned in the performance report. 41% schools, their population uses sustainable motorized vehicles, and more than half of the population in 44% schools, they use non-polluting transport. Now, coming to the AP picture, Andhra Pradesh picture specific to Andhra Pradesh, 90% schools have well-ventilated classrooms, which means students are being given a space with good air quality in classrooms, because if the room is well-ventilated and well-illuminated, that means students are breathing in a healthy environment. And in fact, as Ranjit also mentioned just now, ZPHS Gopalakrishnapuram even received an award in the air section, and the school made some great strides. So most of the students in the school use non-polluting modes of transport, and they increased their green area from 21% to 88%. Now, increasing green area is directly related to the air quality in the school, because plants act as a carbon sink. They absorb excess carbon from the air and purify air. So that also is added in the air section. We take that into account, and the school also transitioned from wood to LPG. So these were the reasons why this school was awarded. Then 95% schools, as I said, were government, and they do not use our own vehicles in AP. And only 13% schools said that they have an air quality monitoring station in and or around the school. But as I just shared, this should not stop us from making our students aware of the air quality and what they can do about it. You can also go to the Green Schools program website, where we have many resources with respect to air, and your school will benefit from the recommendations that we have given over there. So we request you to check out the website after this workshop. Now, there are some common questions that schools have with respect to the air section. So the first is window to floor ratio. What is the minimum ratio that's required? So if a school has 5% or more window floor ratio, we say that they are well ventilated, and it is calculated by dividing the total floor area with sum of area of openable windows. So this ensures better ventilation and lighting in classroom, and a school does not need to make big infrastructural changes for this. Just ensuring that all the windows are openable and they are left ajar so that there's airflow. And if there's a ventilator above the windows, it can be made openable. So small interventions like these. If there are curtains in the room, making sure that those are not too dark and they let light and air come in. Then, so the next question I actually covered: how can we improve the window floor ratio and maximum daylight comes in? Then, why is it better for schools to use vehicles on contract? So, if you use vehicles on contract instead of using your own, you are actually adding to the sustainability, because if you have your own vehicle, that means it will be used for some hours when students travel. For the rest of the day, it will just be standing there, taking parking space also, and the vehicle will not be used to the maximum. So that's why if you hire on contract, it means that you have the vehicle for some time, it is used, and for the rest of the time, it's being used elsewhere. So complete use. And also, you don't need parking space if you hire on contract. So those are some of the benefits, and that's why we encourage schools to do that. Then a question that comes is, there's no equipment to measure the air quality in and around schools. So what can we do? So there's this link that I shared. Neeraj, I'd request you to share this link on chat as well, so that teachers can check out later, by CPCB. Then there is a mobile app. So if you look for Sameer mobile app, it's by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. You can download that app also, and that also gives you credible information about the air quality. And if real-time monitoring is not available in your area, you can always organize project works with your students where they build sensors and filters using discarded material. These are some of the resources that are also available on our website. So you can go check the air section of our website, where everything is uploaded. And last year in 2019, we did an air survey with students. So we culminated it with teachers, but the students were also made part of the survey, where we asked them questions about the air quality. And I think you'd be surprised to know that 34% students actually said that the air quality is improving. And in our analysis, we found out that those were students from areas where air quality was actually degrading. So this tells us that students are maybe not able to realize how air quality is being impacted, because in their mind they think it's improving. They may not have enough data to support their claim. So all in all, it signals that more awareness is needed, more discussions are needed with students, so that they realize what they have to look when we talk about air quality. And 37% did say that it's worsening, and 29% said that air quality is the same. Then we also asked them about air pollution sources close to their school and close to their residence. Close to residents, road dust and construction and demolition waste and garbage burning were the major factors. And close to school, students said that vehicles exhaust and road dust were the major factors. So coming from students, it made sense, because then they had to find out the factors that were responsible and think about air pollution and air quality, which always helps. Now, we do not want to limit this to an activity. We do not want students to think that GSP audit is an activity outside of the classroom, because it's also related to what teachers do in the classroom. So in front of you is a lesson plan, which is linked with grade 6 NCERT chapter. And the name of the chapter is Air Around Us, chapter 15. So the audit exercise, where we ask students to find out who has respiratory problems in the school, what is the air quality like, does the school have an air quality monitoring station or equipment around. So we are actually encouraging and facilitating students to find out the air quality around them, if it's clean or polluted, which is this lesson is also about. And the audit activity can directly be linked to this. So when teachers cover this topic in classroom, they can bring the audit activity in and have students who are taking the audit share their experiences, so that the learning is, consolidated. Then there's another example of a lesson plan, which is about natural resources, where we discuss reasons for air pollution and the use of vehicles, directly related to the section I just shared, the age of vehicles, the fuel they use, their certification, all that can be included in this chapter. This is for grade 9. Then this is from a grade 8 chapter, where students discuss about fuels, renewables, exhaustible and inexhaustible fuels, and how they're impacting the air quality around the world. So this activity is directly linked to how eco-friendly are your school vehicles. The audit task, which is titled "How eco-friendly are your school vehicles," and can be included in the classroom. Now, I will quickly finish this last part, which is on the indoor air pollution. So, more often than not, when we talk about air pollution, we only talk about outside or ambient air pollution. But indoor air pollution is equally important, and many people die because of indoor air pollution because it's so grave in our houses and we overlook it. We just think pollution is outside our home. So if we close the windows, we are safe. But that's actually not the case. You can see areas numbered in this picture: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are different parts of a room, of a house, and all these have different pollution sources. So, number one, it could be a storeroom or an attic. So if there's paint kept there, if there's dust, there are biological pollutants like mites, dust, and bacteria. All these create indoor air pollution to a great extent. Paints actually emit VOCs, volatile organic compounds or gases, which are toxic. In bedroom also, it comes from furniture, the varnish that's there on furniture, the mattress dust, aerosols in our sprays, insect repellents, asbestos. These are all the things that we have in our house. Now, bathroom also, because of humidity, there could be bacteria and mold. There are VOCs from our cleaning products. In kitchen also, because of stove and chimneys, there's pollution, there are gas emissions. And in living room, we have carpet, curtain, and air fresheners. So, and cooling and heating systems that we have in our room. All these are factors and sources of air pollution. Now, we cannot do away with all this because there are going to be sources inside our house always. What we can do is mitigate. We can actually take care of some of these sources and ensure that there's less pollution, if not none at all. So, the first important point is maintaining proper ventilation. Ensure that you open your windows for some time in the house, open and windows and doors so that there's ventilation. And this is for students as well, because we cannot just talk about outside air pollution with them. We have to talk about indoor air pollution as well when we're talking about air quality, and tell them what they can do about it. They can also have indoor air plants that reduce pollution inside our homes. Use of cleaner fuels is always encouraged. And for hygiene, you can make sure that the waste dustbin is always covered. Nothing is, kept without the lid. Everything is covered. If there's a paint bottle, that's also covered. And
Tushita, we are running out of time, so can we?
I'll just wrap it up. And regularly assessing that there are no leakages. These are some of the activities for regarding air that you can. Some of these are also on the website, so you can find them there. And when we share the presentation with you, these are going to reach you. We had a video, but we on diesel emissions, so we can watch it towards the end if we have time. If not, I'll share the link with you on the chat window. And this is all about air. So thank you for listening patiently. I'll hand it over to Neeraj now.
Thanks, Tushita, for the air section. And now we have less time for the other section. So we'll continue with the next section, which is on energy, sorry. After, and let me share my screen first, and you can. Energy. So I hope my screen is visible, Tushita, yeah? Okay. So in continuation to what we discussed in the last two sections, when Ranjita also discussed about climate change and the fossil fuel and the air pollution we discussed in the last section. Now we have energy, which is also an important section in the GSP audit as well. So as you can see on my screen, that we are highly dependent on the fossil fuels from generations, and now still we have a large amount of energy and all the things we are getting from the fossil fuels. So as you know, that is the highest the greenhouse gas emissions comes from the burnt of these fossil fuels and all. And as you can see on my screen, it's a sharing of in the energy sector, we are using the highest amount of fossil fuels. It comes to 44%, and fossil fuel still like they dominate the energy production and use, and it's account of almost 2/3 of the CHE emissions in our daily life and in our in the environment. And electricity and heat is the largest CO2 emitters, and we have like 90, because we can reduce this emissions in the coming future. And if we need to keep our temperature, global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, we need to keep this this rising should stop in the recent times. And the option for to do this, and option to keep this the temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, is to move to the renewable energy sources, which is the focus in the GSP audit section. Also, we need to shift our energy and all these things to the renewable energy, and we need to energy efficient in every manner. So, what are the positive sides of this renewable energy and the solar energy? You can say easily that it's mature and reliable, affordable, and immediately deployable. Then we can have long-term benefits with the economic and social benefits also. And if we need to do the like, we need to limit our environment and below 2 degree, and we need to make it at least at 1.5 degrees. So we need to move to the solar energy, or you can say renewable energy sources in future. And it has unlimited potential if you will talk about renewable energy and energy efficient appliances. And also it's equitably distributed across the state, and decentralized generation, more efficient, easy to access, firmer and efficient, and as complements to hydro and all, and no environmental impact during the construction and operation, which is the important thing. And the gestation period is 18 to 24 months, which reduce the cost also in the installation of these renewable energy sources. So we have and if we'll go to the next slide, you can see that the renewable energy and the energy is the progress. If we talk about the progress report of SDG 7 and all, so it's one of the sustainable development goal, which is the goal number 7 is the to provide equal to provide energy to all the livelihoods and all the people to in our world. So we need to provide the clean and affordable energy to all the people. Before COVID, also it was it was going pretty well, and we ended in the year 2018. The 2018 we had almost 90% of the total population was electrification rate was 90% in the 2018, but after after the COVID, it gets slow, and it was increase of 0.87 percentage points in the global electrification rate was needed, but it is going very slow in after COVID. And during the COVID, it was completely went down. And energy access goals need greater effort in post-COVID world. We need to more focus on the electrification. Our government should work on and electrification of our rural areas also. Still, we have almost 1 million people who are living without electricity in the world. And then the latest data is sharing SDG's progress is due to this pandemic is very, very slow. So if we see about the solar energy, India is doing pretty great in terms of the solar energy installation in our cities, in our villages, and in most of the areas of villages also. Then our target is to install 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2022, and it's still this 175 can be divided into solar energy is 100 gigawatt and 60 gigawatt from wind energy, 10 watt from biomass, and 5 watt from small hydropower projects. So this 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2020 we are targeting, and then solar power can help provide electricity to over 30 lakhs homes that continue to be dark in India. And globally, if we look that in each unit of power consumed results in kilowatt, if you say 1 kilowatt, so it released 800 grams to 1 kg of carbon dioxide and into the atmosphere. So you can see if we calculate this data, if the monthly consumption is 450 units, then this would add up to 450 kg of CO2 emission in the environment. So, and we can take an example of any normal house which we are living in. This, so we can save up to like 500 kg of CO2 emission in a year. So solar, if we move to the solar power, and so this is about the solar energy and all, and we are happy that government of Andhra Pradesh is also doing the things regarding the solar benefit, solar energy in the state. And as we were doing some research, and we found that through the Energy Efficiency Services Limited, that the government of AP will retrofit